The time has come, fellas, to wrap this puppy up and put a bow on it. It's time for the final thoughts, final tasting video of the Undead Baby! And here she is. Here she is in all her glory. Oh. She looks pretty. So she's got that going for her. Before we dive into this, let me just say a few things. This has been a bit of a balls up. Now, I did have a glass the other night just to see if the bitterness had mellowed. Now, if you haven't been watching the series of videos in this playlist for the unnamed IPA, then I suggest you go to the channel, go down to the Great to Glass playlist, and find the unnamed IPA playlist and watch it from start to finish, and you'll know what I'm on about. But if you don't want to do that, I'll just tell you now. We brewed it up, and then we added 3 grapefruits worth of zest at flame out, which came to 125 grams of fresh grapefruit zest. Now, before I even brewed it up and I put the video out saying I was going to be using the grapefruit and where would you use it, the response was really, really good. Loads and loads of comments about how to sort of, I don't know, handle it, treat it, so drying it out. Some people were suggesting putting it into vodka and then putting it into the beer and then drinking the vodka, which sounds actually not a bad plan at all. Some people were on about putting it into primary, some people were on about putting the zest into secondary, some people were saying put it in the boil, and some people were saying steeping it. When I brewed it, I was taking pictures and I was putting it on Instagram, and I can't remember who it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But someone left a comment on the Instagram post. Monday Creative left a comment and they said, "Is that grapefruit peel? I did an Elvis juice clone, was too sour, used too much peel." So I was like, oh god damn it. So I put, indeed it is, how much did you use? Because I was like thinking, oh shit. And they put one back saying I used about 3 grapefruits worth at the end of the boil and another 2 after fermentation. So when I read that I was like, oh man, maybe they put it in the boil, maybe I'll be alright, I don't know. But we did exactly the same, used 3 grapefruits worth, put it in at steep. The steep probably was hot enough so it was sort of like putting it in at the end of the boil. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it is extremely bitter. The second thing is that it fermented down to like 10:05. That's unheard of here. It was the same brew where we had the pump blow off just as I was doughing in, so I had water everywhere and I was trying to get like half the water was in and half the water was on the floor, and so by the time I'd sort of recalculated how much had gone on the floor and how much was still in the HLT and I'd ended up mashing in, and the mash was quite liquidy. It's quite runny, and I tend to like a sort of stodgier mash because it holds a better temperature. Something must have gone adrift because the temperatures weren't quite there. They couldn't have been. They couldn't have been because it's obviously mashed at a lower temperature, which has resulted in a lower finishing gravity. So it finished quite dry. Anyway, with that being said, let's dive in. Cheers, fellas. It's actually cleared out quite nice. I think you'll agree. It's, you know, I used the one with the writing on so you could see. But head retention is not bad. We have been waffling and it's still there. Clarity is good. Anyway, cheers guys. Let's see if we can pick some positives out of this. You know, the mouth feels good. It's what I'm aiming for. It's a nice sort of medium mouth feel. Something in the flavour is adrift. It's not quite working. I think I've got the right amount of crystal in there. It's not that. But I think what's throwing everything off is this grapefruit bitterness. I mean, it is a cloying, drying bitterness. It's just like, it's almost turning your mouth inside out. And although it has mellowed, it is still quite bitter, and it sort of hits right at the beginning, and you sort of lose it mid taste, and then it just comes back with a vengeance. It's like tricking you. It comes back, grabs hold of your tongue and just tries to like wring it out in your mouth. It just dries everything out too much, as well as, like I say, and it's sort of fermented right down, so it's dry anyway. I think it wouldn't be half as bad if the mouthfeel was thicker. It was probably a higher ABV beer, and there was a plentiful amount of residual sweetness. It might balance the bitterness out if you like your really bitter beers, but it's not doing that in this one. It's completely out of balance. It's not what I was wanting at all, but we just have to roll with what we've got, right? Carbonation isn't bad. It's on the high side of what I was trying to achieve. It's a little bit higher than the last couple of brews, and just to top it off, I think there is a hint of oxidization somewhere along the line of me getting it from fermenter to the keg. There must be the tiniest amount of oxidization, I think, that's hit it, which isn't helping. It's back to the drawing board with this one, for definite. Having said that, it's got a decent hop aroma coming off of it, which is nice. Same on the flavour, but it's just been washed out by this tsunami of bitter grapefruit, which just washes and takes everything away. And so it's difficult to really say what the potential of the beer would be because of that. But never mind. I mean, it's still drinkable. It's not a tipper, but it's disappointing because it's not where I wanted it. Oh well, back to the drawing board. Bit of a disappointing finish for this playlist, but you can't have it all, can you? Can't all be winners. But at least we know the problems we've had. At least we know where we need to rectify things. So you're not learning unless you're making mistakes. And that's it, fellas. That is it. I'm going to leave it there. So as always, guys, don't forget to thumbs up this video. Give us a do. Don't forget to subscribe. There's a little red button down here that says subscribe. Click it. You always know what's coming next. Share the video. Get it out there. For what to see. And until next time, I'm out of here.